Welcome back to On Texas Football. I'm Jeff Howe, joined by CJ Vogel. Going to talk about the AP All-America team, who was on it for the Longhorns, and more importantly, maybe who was left off of it. We'll talk about that here. This edition of On Texas Football is brought to you by our friends at Hayes City Store. I'll tell you more about Hayes City Store here in a little bit. But CJ, first of all, before we get into the Colin Simmons snub, which, yes, we're going to talk about it, congratulations, Anthony Hill, second-team AP All-American, Michael Taft, third-team AP All-Americans. That's 2 straight years of those guys are All-Americans. Pretty good way for those two guys to end their careers as Longhorns going out as AP All-Americans.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, for Michael Taft, it just adds to his story and his legacy that is at the University of Texas, starting as a walk-on, right? We know the story. I don't need to go into depth, but look, 2-time All-American, playing in a secondary that at a school whose secondary has been notorious and synonymous almost for all of the defensive backs that they produce into All-American. So that's fantastic for Michael Taft. Anthony Hill, once again, I know he's already declared for the NFL draft. We won't see him in the Citrus Bowl, but this is one more honor that he is able to receive and put under his belt as he ends up moving on to playing on Sundays, Jeff. And I know that we're going to enjoy watching both of these guys at the next level as well.
And real quick on Ant Hill, because he wasn't voted first team All-SEC by the coaches, he was by the AP, so kind of split the difference there. But CJ, when I think about his legacy, we talked a lot about his legacy since he declared for the draft. I think he's the best Texas linebacker since Derek Johnson. He's not at that level because look, Derek Johnson was National Defensive Player of the Year. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame, for crying out loud. But so I'm not putting Ant Hill quite there, but you look at the great Texas linebackers, and I'm not including Sergio Kindle, who was kind of a hybrid, but played more as a true edge. He made more splash plays than guys like Keenan Robinson and Emmanuel Acho and Roderick Muckleroy, guys that were really good players at Texas that went on to the NFL. Even a guy like Jalen Ford, Anthony Hill made more splash plays than Jalen Ford, who was an All-American, but he was more consistent in his on-field play than a guy like Malik Jefferson. And, Jordan Hicks battled through injury. So Anthony Hill had, he was available. He was there up until the very end of his career when he had the hand injury. So I think you take all that into account, CJ. I mean, you look at since Derek Johnson, we're talking about, in my opinion, one of the top 5 to 7 defensive players that this program has seen, which again, sorry if you've heard me say this before, when you recruit a 5-star guy and you bring him into your program, that's what you hope to get from him by the time they're done.
That's exactly it. I mean, 3 and done at any point for a 4 or 5-star level guy that comes in and he's gone in 3 years. That means the production's there, the play on the field, the development behind the scenes, and he checks the boxes for the NFL. And then you add in all the accolades on top. And for Anthony Hill, look at this. 17 sacks, 31.5 tackles for loss, Jeff. He had 8 forced fumbles, 3 picks, and 2 fumble recoveries in his career. He was a big play waiting to happen at all times. And, a number of his biggest plays and biggest games came in Texas's biggest scheduled games as well, right? The Alabama game in 2023, Oklahoma last year. I mean, you talk about big games showing up or big players showing up in big games. That was Anthony Hill's MO from the minute that he stepped foot on campus. His legacy is cemented as one of the better linebackers in my lifetime. And I'm sure for many other Texas fans sitting there saying, one of my favorites to watch during their career as well. It's been a special time for number 0.
No doubt. Kind of in the last 20-ish years, kind of the Big 12 era of the program. If Derek Johnson's at the top of the pyramid, Anthony Hill leads that next wave of guys, in my opinion, of guys that have played linebacker at Texas in that time. CJ, let's get to the snub. Colin Simmons, in fairness, he was named a second-team All-American by the Walter Camp Football Foundation, which is one of those All-American teams that counts towards consensus status. But he's not on the AP team, first, second, or third team. And the reason why I will complain about this one is the AP actually divides it. So they have 2 edge rushers and 2 interior defensive linemen on the first, second, and third team. CJ, are these AP voters seriously going to tell me Colin Simmons is not one of the best 6 edge defenders in America? I find that very hard to believe.
It looks like that's what they are telling you, Jeff. And I don't agree with it at all. And look, again, a second straight year of double-digit sacks for Colin Simmons. He was fantastic in run support. Look, I guess the knock would be the slowish start, but then you see him turn it on against SEC games, and my goodness, I mean, he was fantastic. Forced fumbles, he had 3 of them again this year, 11 sacks. The tackles for loss numbers were there. It was a guy that teams completely had the game plan against when playing the Texas Longhorns, and it didn't matter. Whatever the game plan was, he disrupted it. He was a havoc-wreaking machine in 2025 once again. So, yeah, I'm surprised by the snuff all in all. But if it's anything, it's extra motivation for 2026 for Colin Simmons to get out there and get paid is what he told me he was excited for in his celebration over at A&M at the last game of the year against at DKR.
And again, like we talked about Colin Simmons, the numbers he's put up are in 2 years. So we'll see where he stands after his third year before he's off to the NFL. But CJ, when you look at the AP All-America team, your first team edge rushers are David Bailey out of Texas Tech. Can't argue with that one really. And then Cassius Howe at Texas A&M. I mean, I'll be honest, it seems like maybe some of the voters at some point before the end of the regular season kind of made their minds up that he was going to be a first team All-American, and maybe that's why. But you start looking down the list, CJ, your first teamers are guys that are in the playoffs. You go to the second team, Reuben Bain Jr. out of Miami. They're in the playoff. John Henry Daly at Utah, not in the playoff, but it's that thing with All-American teams too, where you're spreading the wealth. Caden Curry at Ohio State, they're in the playoff, and then Nadeem Tucker at Western Michigan, who's an NFL prospect as an edge guy. I don't know, CJ. It just rubs me the wrong way. The main argument I would make for Colin Simmons is he had 11 sacks on the season. 9.5 of those came in SEC play.
Yep.
So if you're telling me that the SEC is the best conference in the country, and against SEC competition, he had more sacks than anybody else, that should warrant at least a third team mention for me. But maybe I'm biased. I don't know.
No, I'm with you. Led the SEC in pressures according to PFF. He was tied for the league lead in forced fumbles and strip sacks as well. I mean, again, he was a big play waiting to happen, and it's surprising, and again, I just hope that it fuels some of that motivation for next fall, Jeff. But when looking at who the best edge rushers are in the entire country, it's hard to imagine a list that goes 6 deep before they mention Colin Simmons.
No doubt. We'll get back to it. We'll wrap it up here in just a second. But right now, I want to thank our sponsor for this edition of On Texas Football. That's our friends over at Hayes City Store. There are very few restaurants that when you go to them, right away, it's a special place. Hayes City Store is one of those places. Scratch-made Texas comfort food is what they're all about. They've got their famous truck stop enchiladas, their award-winning chicken fried steak, their homemade desserts. It's all good, and it's all made from scratch. They've got live music 6 nights a week, 50 beer taps, ice-cold long necks, and tasty margaritas. They've got 13 TVs in their ice house. It makes the perfect game day setup, and if you're out there on Sunday, check out that brunch menu they've got every Sunday from 10 to 3. Hayes City Store is dog-friendly. They've got a tree net, plenty of space for the kids to run around. So gather up your whole crew, head on out to Hayes City Store for more information. Check out the website at HayesCityStoreTX.com. Hayes City Store, it's uniquely Texas. CJ, I will note the AP doesn't pick a return specialist, but the further removed we get from the end of the regular season, I just wish Ryan Niblett was getting some more love because Texas was in the playoff discussion up until the end. They're not in that discussion if it's not for Ryan Niblett.
Yeah, 3 games that he basically sealed or saved for Texas. I don't know if there's a punt returner in recent memory that had as much of an impact on 3 specific outcomes of games than Ryan Niblett. And look, he deserved his due, right? And I think he got it. Again, snubbed in the all-SEC conversation, Jeff. He should have been a first-team return man in that conversation, but a fantastic season for Ryan Niblett. And should he return again, look, that should be the odds-on favorite for SEC first-team return specialist in 2026. And, that's something that probably should change is, hey, return game's a big part of the game, Jeff. If you can find a guy with as much of a difference-making ability as Ryan Niblett, they should be rewarded on a national scale as well.
So we got a couple more of the officially NCAA recognized All-America teams to go. The American Football Coaches Association, the Football Writers Association of America, and the Sporting News All-America teams. We'll see. Maybe Colin Simmons, CJ, is good enough to make one of those, but at the very least, one last congratulations to Michael Taff and Anthony Hill. Anthony Hill is second-team AP All-American. Michael Taff on the third team. Congratulations to those guys on the way out. CJ, thank you for the knowledge and expertise as always. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes for producing it. Thank you to our friends at Hayes City Store for sponsoring it. If you're not a member over at ontexasfootball.com, you can get over to the site right now and sign up using the promo code OTFOG, and that'll get you 1 year of access at ontexasfootball.com for just $39.95. Make sure that you like this video and that you're subscribed to the On Texas Football YouTube channel. That way, whether it's here on the channel or on the site, you're not missing any of our Longhorn coverage all year round. For CJ, for Matthew, for the entire On Texas Football staff, I'm Jeff Howe. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And until next time, hook 'em.